Ow.
What?
Hello. And
Hi.
welcome to I've got Bluetooth headphones and they're like max volume, like
Oh no.
automatically. So like I turned you down and it worked for now, but it did not work for Craig saying now recording.
Ah.
So it kind of just screamed it at me and I was not prepared. But yes, hello. Welcome back to Cabincast Rambles about Steven Universe with Oliver
Indeed.
and Tan.
Hello.
This is what's going on.
Last time we did Political Power, The Return, and Jailbreak, I believe.
That's what we did.
Did we do Jailbreak? I think we did Jailbreak.
We did Jailbreak. We got through the whole trifecta of those 3 episodes. I will count Political Power in it. It's a trifecta now.
They're all equally important episodes.
Yes. Yes, they are. And to be fair, I would kind of say that this episode, when does this? I mean, to be fair, it does come out the day after the part 1 and part 2 finale. So I would honestly say this episode is basically still season 1.
Sure.
In terms of narrative and storytelling, at least.
I think when we first watched it together, you showed me this one as part of season 1.
I think it is counted sometimes as part of season 1. Because Steven Universe episodes are weird. And like that shows, I mean, for a start, like it's weird how streaming service has them, because one streaming service will have season 1 and 5, the others will have 2 and 3, 4 you won't find anywhere for some reason, and then they switch around every couple of years, and it's really hard to track them down, and you have no idea what's going on. So that's weird. And then their release order was weird. Sometimes what episodes are counted in what season is weird. Which I think probably pertains to said release order. But yeah, we did watch Full Disclosure. I think you're right, as part of season 1, because when we did our reactions to season 2, it started off in quite a weird place.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it did start off with Full Disclosure. It's just I'd already seen that one at that point.
Oh, true. That's right. And the episodes were like weird and stuff. So.
But
But anyway.
There's also that.
Oh.
The short film, which they released along with the new OP, I think.
Ah.
Where he sings the song. I think that might be slightly later.
Yes, we're not quite there yet.
The one where he's a small child.
Yeah, it's adorable.
And displays trauma. Never mind. We get to that one. Oh, it was shown on July 10th.
July 10th. So yeah, no.
Just after Chillated.
Yeah, just after Chillated, before Cry for Help.
Okay, so we'll do that one then, I guess.
So yeah, I mean, I guess the question on that is, when is the episode? When does the thing change?
From what I saw, it changes on Sworn to the Sword.
Okay. Sworn to the Sword. That's this one, season 2, episode 6.
6?
Apparently. Again, that's in a different place.
Oh yeah.
Very, very legal place. Yes, you are correct. that is where it changes over.
Huh. Well, we'll do that one then.
We will
But
talk about that one
first,
then. Yes, remind me about that. But yes, so what I was trying to say is this full disclosure feels like to me a what is the word I am looking
sequel?
for? No, again, it kind of works, but no. I was kind of thinking sequel. I was kind of thinking epilogue, but neither of those was the word I'm looking for.
Continuation?
Addendum, continuation. I'll figure it out at some point.
I mean, it literally I think, if I remember rightly, Jailbreak starts with the star thing going in, and then
yes,
Full Disclosure starts with it coming back out.
I think it does. Well, it starts with the intro.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Of
But beyond the
course.
intro,
Beyond the intro.
full disclosure.
It goes.
Yeah, it starts with the star zooming back out. It basically continues straight on. So yeah.
So we
Yeah.
start where we left off, basically,
Mm-hmm.
which is everything's on fire.
Yes.
Malachite's somewhere in the ocean, and the
Yep.
crystal gems and Stephen are just sitting, looking at the sunrise,
Yeah.
one of the two.
Yeah. It's
Sunset, I imagine.
yeah. Yes, probably. It's complicated because it's like, yay, we beat them on the surface, but oh dear, that was one ship with 3 gems, and we didn't really beat them. It's only because one of them was actually on our side and the other ran off. And one of them sacrificed himself to take them down with them. And even when Garnet did technically beat Jasper, it was still a pretty evenly matched fight.
Yep.
And this isn't looking great, guys. Let's be honest.
It's not great.
Oh, hi,
I
Connie. I left you a message that I
calls him
really
back.
shouldn't have done. He does.
Yeah, Connie calls Stephen, and Stephen's not sure what to say. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a lot that's happened. It's a lot to process. Amethyst is ready to celebrate, though, at least.
Yes. Yeah, so I do like how we come back in on the shot and everyone just looks very wide-eyed. Even Lion is just kind of standing there. Like, what the flip is just happened. And yeah, Connie wants to know what's going on.
Which, yeah, is fair.
Which is very fair after what Stephen called her about.
But
But,
yeah, Amethyst is celebrating, and Stephen
yeah,
is
she immediately flips.
is kind of distracted by Greg coming back as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where Stephen then promises to call her back later,
He does.
which kind of gets ignored, considering that Connie calls him a bunch the day after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, oh, hi Connie, you're not here right now. I might die. Speak to you later. I hope.
Yeah, that's not
Oh, hi
the
Connie.
the
It's
message you want
okay.
to
We're
send.
okay. We're good. Oh, sorry. I'll come back. I'll call you back later. And then doesn't call back. Well, it doesn't answer. Yeah. It doesn't call back and doesn't answer.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things that people say often is the importance of communication between two people.
It's like we should do this again.
I guess they're still kids. They're still kids. So I guess Steven doesn't see it as like the same kind of thing. But of course, communication is still going to be important.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not really communicating very well there to Connie. She has no idea what's going on.
No. Afterward, Coda.
Coda?
Coda. That's the word I was looking for.
That's a word I'll have to look up.
Full disclosure, feels to me like a coda to those episodes. It's traditionally it's a musical word, but I think it applies here.
I see.
The concluding passage of a piece or movement, typically forming an addition to the basic structure. Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Yeah. They're pretty neat. And it's like the music works without them, but it makes them better.
Or at least different.
Or at least different. It's an expanded cadence, but then that's getting into the actual musical stuff, which isn't what I was talking about. It's an addendum. It's a coda. That's my 2 cents.
Bam. Nice. But yeah, we see Greg, and he is naturally a little apprehensive considering Steven's got a swollen eye.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like just before the giant space hand came along.
Yeah.
Greg was like, I'm not sure you should be involved in all of these incredibly dangerous things, but that got interrupted, and now we're seeing the effects of exactly what Greg was worrying about.
Well, again, Greg was right, but if Steven had listened to him, they would all be dead. So it's
can't really win.
It's like if you don't want your son to get hurt by these things that don't have a baby with an intergalactic alien war criminal.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes back to that, doesn't it?
It does, unfortunately. Like it's because like you can either have Steven protect the human race, as is kind of his quote unquote destiny, even though we're not quite there yet, but still, or treat him like a normal kid. It's Avatar syndrome, I suppose, actually.
Yeah, I guess so.
Aang. Where it's like normal childhood, protector of world. Can't do both. Doesn't work.
Not saving the world and all of the corrupted gems seems to rely on a specific sequence of events happening, which has a negative effect on Steven.
It does,
sadly. But
very, very sadly,
at this moment in time, Steven's not quite understanding that. He's like explaining how they were way stronger than they even thought of, but like still sort of with that sort of childlike expression. It's a bit of
I do love how he's like, oh, it's fine, and Cook's like, yeah, you did it. They were pushovers, and he's like, no, it was really bad. we just about made it out with our lives.
Subtle with that one.
And Greg's facial expressions just go from more terrified to more terrified to more terrified. And he ends up just like shivering and running away to his van, trying to put on calming music, and puts on some like death metal.
Yeah,
which isn't calming.
That's not go well for him.
And this seems to be like hyperventilating. And then Connie calls back
again,
and Steven is putting 2 and 2 together and making like 3, or kind of 4, but like not the right 4.
3.5.
3.5 maybe. In that he's like, if you tell people these things, they're just gonna panic and worry and stuff. Ergo, I shouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
But he's missing out on the other side that he has been aware of. He just hasn't really thought about that. If you don't tell them, they're going to be very concerned and worried anyway. Like Greg was worried when he came speeding in here with his van. Stephen just didn't particularly think or notice about that. He's only thinking about the fact that after he told him stuff, he was still worried and things.
Yeah, I mean, Greg wasn't there at the time.
Exactly. But obviously, Greg has been worried the whole time Stephen's been away. Similar thing with Connie, but from Stephen's perspective, it's just, well, if I don't tell her, then I save her this stuff that I've just inflicted on my father.
That's true.
Probably also goes back into his thing about, keeping his own things to himself and putting other people before himself, even if in this case it actually is worse for them, not better for them.
Yeah, so he's like trying to protect them from worrying about him, but in doing so, he's making them worry about him.
Exactly.
So I guess you're right. Yeah, he sort of understands that, but not quite the whole picture.
It's yeah, he's 100% right in the conclusion that he comes to, but it's him making. I mean, they tackle it later on in the episode. Connie pretty much comes right out and says it, so we'll talk about it when we get there. Instead of going over it all now and then be like, hang on, this is what we were talking about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, he's not quite sure just yet though.
No,
because he's still figuring out. He's in the
Yeah.
morning. He's figuring out ways to tell her.
Yeah, the sunrise. It was sunrise because the sun's up now. Because I assumed not that much time had passed. Because Stephen's still staring at his phone, figuring out if he's gonna call back Connie or not. And he goes to the big donut, and almost cuts his hand, but luckily doesn't. But the whole front of it's smashed. And it's pretty messed up.
And he's realizing that it's not going to be, well, things aren't as fine as he thought.
Yeah. And he's going over in his head like ways that he can, explain what happened to Connie. And well, not in his head, she's saying them out loud. Like, it's fine. There were these people and we fought them and they're gone now. But the town's destroyed and, kind of. But he can't think of like the right words and the way to put it. And then he trips over another part of the machine and sees even more of the town has been destroyed and all the green parts of the hand are everywhere.
Yep. There is wreckage all over.
All over the place. And he ends up climbing up the hill.
Yes, every time he thinks of something, the phone rings, but of course he wants more time to think about it. He doesn't want to just begin because it feels like something he needs to prepare for.
Indeed. And this is actually this is a hill. He's gone quite a way at this point. Because
a long way.
He usually just goes up to the top of like the hill above the Crystal Gems place with the lighthouse. But here he's gone actually round back off of like Beach City Peninsula. I don't know.
Yeah, this is I think the hill that Ruby went on with Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Looking over the whole city as a whole. The Brooding Hill, and as such, here comes Ronaldo.
Here comes Ronaldo to ruin things again.
Here comes Ronaldo to make a point that much like political power definitely has credence. But not here. Yeah, because he's like, what's up, Stephen? Good job. And then Stephen looks all sad and explains the issue and Ronaldo's kind of hair's flying in the wind and his glasses go all shiny, so you can't see his eyes, and pushes them up and talks about them how we are burdened with this knowledge, and it is those beneath us, and we cannot impart this knowledge to them. It would be too much. It is our curse, our burden to bear, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Ronaldo's kind of affirming the things that Stephen thought earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like as how he's doing part of the speech. You get a shot of the waves crashing against the shore. Which just makes me think of, rising tides, crashing skies, even though that's not what that means, but it kind of is in a way. But I think that maybe he was standing up here, and that's where he got the name inspiration from, at least in part, maybe. As of literally right now, but still. But yeah, he talks about similar stuff about how to the bear, like, people don't want to know about these things or worry about these things that happen.
Yeah, he brings up a sort of analogy of like an ocean, wherein you can swim happily on the top, on the surface, but knowing too much of the truth can pull you down to the bottom, and that's not something you can get back from. It's an anchor.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then Ronaldo was like, "Hang on, the flying hand's on the beach. Why am I here? I should be over there."
Yeah, he got distracted and didn't get the chance to respond to Stephen saying we can be there for each other, to comfort each other, and he's basically dismissing that. Especially, at least in Stephen's mind, I imagine he's dismissing it.
Oh, definitely. And that's the bit that Stephen needed to hear. Most of all.
Yeah, that you can tell them and comfort each other, and both sides will be better for it.
Exactly. But instead he sings a song.
A great song.
It is a very good song. It is one of my favorite songs.
I like how it incorporates the ringtone.
Yes. Song I had forgotten about. And then when we used to play D&D, turn an alarm that would go off at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
And then the song would be in my head for the next day.
That would be my ringtone. At least until I had to factory reset my phone. Now it's not.
Indeed. But yeah, the song is full disclosure as well, right?
Yes, it is. It talks about how, well, the things that Stephen does are dangerous, and people, well, it makes people worried in order to tell them about that.
He basically harkens back to, I mean, it doesn't show flashbacks or anything, but it's basically harkening back to like Cheeseburger Backpack and Cookie Can, all that stuff, where this stuff's always been dangerous, but it's just always been just enough under control that he's kind of just gone along with it and not really noticed.
The gems were encouraging at that time.
They were encouraging, but they also were like, well, Stephen, this stuff is pretty dangerous. Like, we're not sure you should be on missions. But he would, be Stephen enough to persuade them. And over time, obviously, he did prove himself to be good enough, even though he bungled the test, and then pretend succeeded the second test because he couldn't fail it. But he has grown massively since those first episodes. But it's only really these last couple where he's seen the true scopes of the damage and the danger of everything. And yeah, I mean, like he says, he didn't believe it until now. Which, I mean,
it
Stephen,
finally
what have you
starts
been
becoming
doing?
real.
But, yeah. Kind of like he's been living in some kind of fever dream up until this point. Because it's like, Stephen, this stuff is dangerous. How do you not understand? But apparently, he did not. Yeah. So, and yeah, he says, it's super dangerous. I don't want that for Connie. Because he cares about Connie. Connie cares about him, but that's not what he's thinking about right now.
That's not what he's thinking about. You're right.
And yeah, the phone goes off again. And he just kind of fingers in his ears and ignores it.
Yeah. But instead of like the last one, where it looks like he swipes accept, but it's actually decline.
What if something happened to you? What would I do? Which, to be fair, is what, Greg and the gems have been thinking about Stephen all this time as well. So it works like that too, when you think about it.
Is that like a kind of the sort of, obviously it's from his own perspective, but it's like his own perceived importance.
So I've got to protect her from this that I've become a part of.
But he didn't consider that she can protect herself.
Yeah. And that's just kind of a general part of Connie's kind of continual arc. Not so much with Stephen, but it kind of in a different respect with her and Stephen and Pearl. When Swan to the Sword, that's kind of reflecting on Pearl, and then with her mum in Nightmare Hospital, or whichever the episode is.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, also later in this season.
Yeah, we got a lot of that this season.
We do, which is good. Connor's great. But yeah, the song's great. The there's a lot of oohing as well. It's pretty good. And there's a great guitar riff under the ending of it. But during the final bit, it also does quick recap of all the painful moments that you watched the previous day, in case you needed that again.
Yeah, it's not quite as much of a recap when it happened the day before.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't remember. But
because
after
it shows
the
you
song,
like the main defeated and the ship crashing and then Malachi being pulled into the ocean.
Yeah, a lot of things.
It's a mess. And yeah, the song's really great. And then Stephen swipes the green into the ignore, which means you ignore it. Which like it makes no sense. Unless it's like he starts to swipe green and then pushes ignore, but then surely you have to swipe all the way the other way, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's narratively interesting, and that's what really matters. And then he takes on this somber, dark, like edgy Stephen expression.
Edgy Stephen.
And then we cut back to the gems.
Yes. So the gems also want to protect humanity by not letting them in contact with anything that is gem related.
Which, as a general rule, is probably not a bad idea.
Which, slightly mirrors what Stephen wants to do. Whoa, that's crazy. The difference there, of course, is that Stephen is half human. So he needs those human relationships.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things beyond that as well. I'd say you've got that as a big one. Of course, he needs the human relationships. 2, Connie already knows all this.
Yeah.
Like, granted, this is extra stuff that he would need to explain to her, but it's not like she doesn't know about the gems or any of that stuff already. So it's I mean, obviously the people of Beach City do as well, but it's more the humans in general, and the people of Beach City we know will just forget everything, or like put it in the back of their minds. But also, the gems want to protect the humans from finding the gem dragon stuff, because that's probably going to be dangerous for the humans. Steven wants to not tell Connie about it because he's worried that she's going to get hurt and what he will do if she gets hurt.
Oh, true.
Which isn't coming from a selfish place, but again, he's making that decision for her. So it kind of is. Again, it's a difficult one because he does it just because he cares about her, but it's again we're literally about to come to this bit. So, yeah, Steven's just kind of standing and staring out the window, still being all edgy, being like, "We can't let them on the beach. We've got to close ourselves off to society." And he pulls down the blind and everything.
Yeah. They talk about the fence they used to have.
Yeah.
Wherein Amethyst would presumably guard it as a crocodile, except not because she didn't commit. She got bored. Except for when she was an owl, when Greg
I was going to say,
along.
Kind of like when she was the owl, I imagine.
Yeah.
I do love the jazz hands.
But Garnet is the only one that really picks up on the fact that Steven is...
I was going to say, it's another one of those moments where everyone's like, well, yeah, maybe Steven. Sure, actually, we could do that. But thankfully, Garnet's like, no, Steven needs, like you said, those relationships.
Yeah, Steven tries to deny it, but then his phone rings, and there's that contrast between he's like, no, I never asked for this. I gotta.
Yeah, I can't keep clinging to the vestiges of my humanity.
Yeah, and then the phone rings.
When does Steven ever use those things? Yeah. Time I got serious.
Of course, Pearl puts it into perspective that ignoring her forever is not quite the responsible thing to do.
Indeed.
But that is interrupted by Connie arriving.
Yeah.
And even though they disagree with him, they kind of got his back.
Yeah.
To distract Connie while he's escaping at the window.
And you can clearly tell that he's not sure about it because he's like, it's the right thing to do. Well, she's coming up the stairs. What? But yeah, so they're like, hi, Connie. As he's just kind of escaping.
Of course, the best line Pearl can think of is, I don't understand your human relationships.
Yeah.
And then they slam the door and just sort of stay there for a bit. And Garnet eventually has to pull Pearl away.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, they have no idea what's happening. And Steven's in much worse shape than Connie. So she catches him.
Didn't have any cookie cats. Easily.
No.
That's the issue.
Her mum's a doctor. Her dad's a security guard. And gems don't understand anything about human health, probably.
Yeah. So we get to Connie, like Steven is hiding. And
he's hiding.
Connie says, like, goes through that natural sort of mental progression that one might go through if someone's like ignoring you. Like, has something gone wrong, or was it me? And of course that makes Steven feel terrible that he's doing it, but he just like cannot. He just wants to permanently delay it because he doesn't want to confront.
Yeah. So she calls his phone and he mutes it again. And then he's like, and then he sends her a message, which isn't. Again, don't do this.
Don't do this.
Don't do this. Just say it to her face, Stephen. Stop being a child.
He's a child.
I know that was the point. Yes, he says, "Yeah, I don't want to be friends anymore," which really upsets Connie. But again, she doesn't text him back because she's not about that. She wants to speak to him. And
Yeah.
he actually answers this time.
It's kind of a lame excuse, honestly. I have a destiny.
Well, it's a bit self-important as well. I mean, again, it's not the point that he's trying to make, but
he just wants to do it so that he wants to say whatever which would make her not as worried.
Exactly. He says, "I can't be with you anymore" as well.
Oh, it's not you can't be with me anymore.
It's I
yeah.
can't be with you. Which
True.
is, again, at this point, they are just friends, but I think that definitely implies that at least Stephen at this point potentially thinks of something more. Again, very young. Probably isn't even intentional. Like the next bit, sounding very self-indulgent, but, Connie doesn't believe him. And it's like, say it to my face. If you say it to my face, then fine, I'll believe you and I'll do it. But say it to my face first. And Stephen climbs on top of the statue. He's all dark and shadow. His face is not drawn because he's in shadow, but it looks flipping weird.
Yeah. Of course, it makes sense to ask them to say it to your face because then you can at least tell what's going on.
Yeah.
Like emotionally, you can't tell emotion or tone through just text.
No, it's the worst thing about text messages. We've heard multiple times that that's become a problem in our service. Where people have misinterpreted messages. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I remember that they happen.
And of course, even through call, you can't see like facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
So
which means if you're good
misread people.
If you're good at understanding people's voices and stuff, then you might be all right. But you can still very easily,
which I'm not.
Maybe not. But yeah, face to face is the best way.
Yeah, and of
like
course, as Stephen is there face to face, she can see that he's like incredibly sad about it.
Pretty epic shot for a second. I think he's gonna do the I never asked for this. But no, it's Stephen. Of course he wants to be friends. Oh, sorry, he even does an epic like superhero jump down to the floor.
He does.
And then he's just destiny. Like, I still want to be friends.
Of course, it presents the. I mean, it is a classic sort of romance trope, isn't it? But it's in a more sort of family-friendly way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Of presenting it. And of course, Connie goes through all of the. Stephen goes through his sort of mental gymnastics. I didn't want you to worry about it. I wanted to protect you. And Connie's just not having it.
No.
She presents the sort of the logical explanation behind that.
Yeah.
And so they talk about it, which is, what we needed. That's what they needed together. They needed a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, Stephen's worried about her. He's like, the first thing he asks is, "Are you okay?" When, of course, she's just being told the information.
Mhm.
It hasn't directly affected her yet.
Yeah. And that's the thing. She's like, are you okay? Because, you went through all this stuff. And, the least I can do is listen, to what you have to say, like, to help you deal with it.
Mm.
And, that she wants to do that. She wants to be there for him.
Yeah.
And then Greg shows up.
Yeah, this is interesting because all we get from Greg is I got it out of my system.
Yeah.
And that's the first we see of him since he has a panic attack in the start of the at the start of the episode.
Yeah.
So I
Because
guess
again, Stephen was only seeing like the outset of it. Like, obviously, Greg is his father. He's gonna panic about this, but he's always known that this stuff was on the table. Like, this was not news to him that it happened. He was just very shocked to hear the direct information. So he just needed a bit of time to calm down and get over it, and then he's gonna be all right. It's still gonna be there in the back of his mind that all this dangerous stuff's out there and can happen. That's always gonna be the case, but he's not gonna be in a constant state of perpetual terror.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, that comes from him being a bit older and a bit wiser.
Yeah.
And I mean, secondly, we don't see it because Stephen just wasn't there at the time.
Yeah, Stephen ran off and just came to the logical conclusion, like not directly this, but almost that well, I've broken my dad. He's gonna be constantly terrified now. For me and my safety.
But he's okay.
But I am gonna add this to the Greg trauma list.
Greg trauma, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it's Stephen being scarred for life, him having to come up with a decision to be or not be friends with Connie. Like, it's a moral dilemma, but it's not directly scarring.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But they head back, and we see business has gone back to normal, pretty much.
Yeah.
The people of Beach City move on. Because they must.
They those simple people living out their simple lives without ever knowing the burden of being friends with them. That's what's happening.
Exactly. Clearly what it's portraying.
But that's full disclosure.
That's full disclosure. There's a lot to talk about on that one, and it shows because again, that was like 40 minutes. So
what? I thought that was one of the shorter ones for us.
It's not such thing as short anymore, Tan. We're just getting longer and longer talking about things.
Oh no. We may only get 2 done.
I think we're only going to get 2 done, but that's okay because Joyride, while it starts really off not that important, it becomes pretty important.
Joyride's great.
It's a great episode. It's a cool kids episode.
Yeah.
Featuring them cool kids.
The coolest kids. They hate squares.
Yeah.
And other things.
Dads and stepdads.
Yes. And their parents and siblings.
Yeah.
But at the start, they're cleaning up the trash. They're cleaning up which the ship still.
We see a little bit of at the very tail end. Or at the very least, we see Ronaldo running off with a piece of it, which is on brand. But yeah, they're cleaning up the ship. Like they said that they needed to do.
Yeah. And they're still, like every single gem, all 4 of them are doing it. It's not just Amethyst, Garnet, Pearl. Stephen's along with it. And it's implied that they told him to.
Yeah.
Because it starts with Stephen asking, do we really have to get every piece? So presumably they asked him to get every single one.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. But he's a crystal gem, as he keeps on saying, so he's got to do the work.
Of course, he's just focused on the work, and he doesn't notice the cool kids coming along.
Kids. Buck,
Jenny, and sour cream.
and sour cream. And they're like, "What's up, Steven?" and such, because everyone likes Steven.
Yeah, everyone likes Steven. Steven likes everyone.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, you be working and stuff."
Yeah, he declines the offer to join them hanging out.
Yeah, they're like,
because
"Do you want to hang out?"
He says about the important things that he's got to do.
He's got to do.
Which is like, digging up bits of ship.
Yeah, ship.
Not any other word.
No.
But of course, the difference between Steven and the gems is Steven has to sleep.
Sleep, yes.
Can't talk anymore.
No.
I've run out of words.
It's all good, don't about it. So yeah, Steven goes to sleep, but he can't really get to sleep. And then pizza rain occurs.
Yeah.
Just a waste of pizza.
But with a distinct lack of pizza clouds.
Pizza clouds, I forgot about that. Pizza rain. But no pizza clouds. And then he sees, Buck, Dewey, and sour cream are here with pizza that they've been throwing. But yeah, their logic is flawless. Can't hang out with the 10-year-old kid during the day.
Do it at night.
Better come at night when he should be sleeping because he's a child. But it's fine, I guess. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They go out in the car.
They do.
In the pizza car.
The pizza car.
And
with Jenny.
They complain about their own families and their own issues, which they have.
Mm-hmm. But then Steven talks about his issues, and it put things into perspective.
Yeah, although that obviously doesn't mean they all.
Their issues are 100% valid.
They all talk about each other's issues as if they're, equally valid. Like even when Steven's just like, "Oh, grounded from TV," they're still sympathetic, even if they might have worse or lesser issues, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
They're friends.
Yeah, it's because they're
nice people.
Yeah, Jenny's issue with her is hers with Dee Dee. Is that even her name?
Kiki.
Kiki. Yeah, and then Buck with obviously his father being the mayor.
Stepfather.
No, that's just his father. It's Sour Cream's stepfather, right?
Oh yes, Sour Cream's stepfather.
Sour Cream's stepfather, who doesn't get his love of music and stuff. Also being a fisherman and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, these are problems. And then Steven, talks about the gems that attacked them, and right, that's what he says, right?
Yeah.
How they think one of them thought he was his mum, and
that he kind of also thinks that.
Yeah.
And he he doesn't really want to talk to the gems because of how they might react and what they think about him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel like he can share everything with the gems, which is a theme that persists throughout the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that he feels like he can't tell the gems.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she wanted to be the evil twin, not Kiki, which is definitely a lesser thing, but still very important, I'm sure. But yeah, he's like, family stuff's important. And then they were like, uh-huh. And then he starts off with the TV thing, and then and they're like, "Oh no, that sucks." And then I found out that they're alien rebels, and there's other gems out in space, and they want you dead because they think you betrayed them, and they try to take me hostage, and because they think you are my mum, and maybe I kind of am. And then yeah, he wishes he can turn to the gems, but they kind of blame him. He thinks for his mum not being around. And I love that the next shot we get, you've got sour cream just leaning out the window staring.
Yeah, they don't really know how to react to that.
We even see Buck's eyes.
I know.
Which we barely ever see because they're all just like, flip, man. There's some stuff.
They comment on how he manages to be so cheery, even though there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I mean they straight up like praise him for it pretty much. They're like, wow.
But
You
then
managed to be so cool. And we actually see Buck's whole face, and he does look a little bit like Bill.
yeah, a little bit.
It does make sense. Yes, but then
We see the distinctive glow of Paradox escape capsule.
indeed, it's green, which means it must be
green.
Peridot. Only Peridot is green.
And Steven's trying to be the responsible sort. You know, it's like, oh no, this is like, remember with I can't remember which episode it was. Actually, it might have been Lars and the Cool Kids.
Yep.
Another Cool Kids episode with the police tape and not wanting them to.
Yeah.
A bit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he's cautious, but the Cool Kids are, they're cool.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, let's trespass onto dangerous lands. Which maybe is a little far, but then who knows?
Safe.
It seems safe. It doesn't look like anything's wrong. And Sour Cream just throws rocks at Buck almost.
Yeah. And they're just kind of chilled by it.
Yeah, Steven's quite serious, but then he does come around eventually. But then Jenny says he should get in the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Which goes well.
It does. At first.
But
then he accidentally activates it. And he can't really control it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going fairly well. He can just sort of walk it around.
Yeah, and then they start messing around with it and doing some games and stuff, and it's a lot of fun again.
Yeah.
They're all cheering him on. He like runs into a hay bale.
And everything goes well until he accidentally hits it.
Yeah, he hits it a bit harder or something. And it becomes like proper emergency pod life mode thing. And it starts filling up with some kind of liquid.
Which is breathable still.
Which is breathable, thankfully.
It lets off a flare and then starts shooting them.
It does. It's like some emergency defense protocol. And
yeah,
luckily,
something like that.
They survive. Because, like, if you jump in a hay bale and a laser thing hits you, you shouldn't survive that. But they do, and it's great.
The hay bale does not survive, regretfully, but the kids do.
It does not. The kids do, which is the main thing. And it sets off more explosions all over the place. And then out of the smoke come the crystal gems, posing up a storm. Especially Pearl. Oh my gosh.
She immediately just throws a spear and almost hits Steven inside it, which is...
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? Trauma.
Yes, this is definitely trauma because Steven has never been, understandably, because why should he be on this side of the gems before.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame him for it because they have no idea it's him. But
No, you can't. It's not their fault.
Who boy?
But I mean, especially Garnet. Like at the end, is very scary.
And Jenny was quite brave in stopping Garnet by stepping in front of it.
They are like, they may be the cool kids, but these are
cool kids.
These are some of the most decent cool kids you'll ever meet. They're not perfect, but they're not Kevin.
They're not Kevin.
Kevin's the other type of cool kid where they're a douche and they're actually like terrified and they don't actually stick up for anyone.
No.
No.
Oh boy, the Kevin episodes. But they're not now.
They're not now. So yeah, she gets in the way of Garnet, which... And again, you know, she's not that she's not scared about doing that. She is scared, it's clear, but she snaps Garnet out of it for long enough to see that, yeah, Steven isn't there. Which in turn snaps Garnet out of it.
Indeed.
And makes you realise that, you know, they could have broken this thing open pretty easily. It wouldn't have been difficult. But they probably needed to let off a bit of steam. And they were just going to just trash this thing. But obviously, as soon as they discover Steven's inside it, they're like, yeah, so that's a bad plan.
And they tell off Steven for doing that and not, like, immediately coming back.
Yeah.
Which Steven dejectedly accepts right up until the cool kids come over and stand up for him. They stick up for him.
They do, which is, again, very nice of them.
They highlight to the gems that Steven's, well, he's not his mum. He's not Rose. He's 13 and needs some downtime.
13, I keep mistaking how old he is, but yes. Which is, he's 13? He seems so much younger than that.
He does. That bit comes up later.
It does. It does.
Because his age is dependent on how he feels.
Yeah. But yeah, they set up for him. They're like, you know, he needs, you know, downtime. He can't be doing all this stuff all the time. He's a kid. You know.
Exactly.
Kind of, at the very least, they lump themselves in it as well, so it's not all Steven's fault. And at most, they do like try and point out to the gems that maybe you're being a little bit. I mean, like, for sure, this shouldn't have happened. This was a bad idea, but yeah,
it's not that bad considering everything else. Considering that Steven's the one that saved them, maybe they shouldn't be putting so much pressure on him. And they unground him from TV.
They did, which was very, very nice of them.
Yeah, they take a few more selfies. Earth forever.
They do. Earth forever. Yeah, it's pretty fun. And that's full disclosure. No, that's Joyride.
While that may be the episode,
indeed,
by itself, there's a lot that this episode means for the future of the series.
Yeah.
About taking time off when you're under so much pressure, and how Steven is just a kid.
Yep.
And maybe shouldn't be given all of this responsibility so early in life.
Yeah.
During his developmental years. Yep. Which Steven does not always take heed of.
Again, in part because often he simply does not have the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, while the Earth is shaking because the cluster's about to form, he can't exactly go, no, Peridot, I think I won't go in the drill.
Yeah, exactly. Except for the one time when they do just relax and take an evening, but that's to explain to Peridot what the point of that is, and it's a great scene, and I can't wait to get to it. But that's not yet. But no, exactly, 100%. I mean, again, I'd never said the word Avatar syndrome before ever, but yeah, the idea of having an adolescent character thrown into, a destiny that they didn't want, never asked for. And I mean, it's by no means a thing that Avatar did first. Obviously,
I
it's
mean, it's the
just
subject of a lot of young adult.
it's so much young adult stuff. It's just I like the idea of that because that's one where it does go wrong first before it goes better. Because Aang does run away, and there is a mass genocide and 100 years of war.
Yeah, even if we don't see all of that.
Even if we don't see it, thank goodness.
That would have been a dark program if it just
Or
ended
not yet.
like that.
Avatar Studios is now a thing, so
Oh, what do you think they'll make a prequel?
I doubt they would go that dark. I would love to see I would love to see a Kyoshi show. Because one, Kyoshi's a badass, and two, she's the person who created the Dai Li, which was not the best decision. So you could do some really interesting political stuff there. But again, I don't know if they would go down that route, but it would be very cool if they did. But again, that's for a completely different discussion.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, yeah, Harry Potter, didn't die and defeated the Dark Lord and didn't even know about all of it and stuff. And had that as soon as he went to Hogwarts, have everyone just been like, "Oh, you're the boy lived. You've got this special treatment and all this stuff," and dealing with the mistakes of his father and things like that. And then you've got Steven because of the stuff to do with his mother. Avatar, we already went over. Other shows.
Yeah, there are a lot of other shows just don't sort of tackle that specifically.
Yeah, the I never asked for this kind of part of it, but I'm just trying to think of other examples now because there's plenty of them. I just can't think.
Oh, of course.
Of them, right?
But Steven still has issues with taking time off when he needs to do things that with a lot of responsibility. Exactly. He still has that later on.
Yeah.
Like with
never particularly does it.
Snow Day in Future, for example, he takes on a lot of responsibility. Even, I mean, at that time he seems like an adult, but he's still only 16.
Yeah, he's not an adult.
So there's a lot to be said about Steven's coping techniques from Joyride.
Yes. Indeed.
I guess that line, "How do you always stay so upbeat?"
Yeah.
Is a little bit of a I don't know what the word is.
I mean, it's kind of very long-term foreboding.
Yeah.
In a sense, with the benefit of a lot of hindsight. Like 5 kind of years worth of it, almost.
I guess his upbeatness is kind of a mask a lot of the time.
Yeah, it 100% is. But it's again, it's kind of like he's again having using jokes and stuff to shield yourself and hide yourself from humor is nothing new for people in real life as much as it is characters. Of course. But for Steven, it's also he's always had that attitude, right?
Yeah.
But since which one is it? Your favorite episode from season 1?
The Test?
the test. But since the test, he has also started, putting the needs of others and stuff before him. And like not talking to the gems about stuff that he reckons he probably shouldn't and all that kind of stuff. And the two, so his kind of just his general happy-go-lucky, cheery personality has kind of become melded with that.
Yeah, because he put that on. Like
He put that
he
on for them
intentionally did that. That wasn't part of him because he
because
was
he
actually
knew,
kind of mad about it.
yeah, because he knew because that's what he usually like, and he knew that that's what they would expect. But then he
Yeah,
put that on for them, and at that point, it becomes not just a part of Stephen, but also the mask that Stephen wears to shield other people, and also, I guess, himself until he finally confronts all of his trauma
yeah.
years
It's
later.
it's kind of avoidant. It's an avoidant type of behavior. You
Yeah,
do you maintain a sort of careless or carefree, I guess, carefree appearance in order to just not have to think about the issues, which
yeah,
does come back a little bit in mindful education, but Stephen doesn't fully take it in until he gets a therapist in the final episode,
yes,
which is quite a long arc, I've gotta say.
yep, yes, indeed.
Mindful education is cool because it's like a lot of it is like presented as like, oh, here's kind of your solution, but it still doesn't work on Stephen because he doesn't fully accept it.
Yeah,
But that's not the one we're talking about right now.
it's not. The one that we're talking about next is Love Letters.
Do we have
Which,
time for that one?
I mean, how much do we have to say?
Yeah, but come on, it's us. We'll just talk for like 50 minutes about it.
I mean, because kind of all I can say with Love Letters is that we've got Jamie back. He's pretty neat. He wants to be an actor, but he's a postman. He sees Garnet coming out the water, still like, clearing stuff from the ocean. Or is she still like moving rubble, or is she doing something else now?
No, she was looking for a malachite.
She was looking for Malachite. That's what she was doing because they are immediately on that. But she comes down the water in like a kind of reverse Bond kind of deal, looking all awesome and like obviously she's a hard light projection, so her hair is still absolutely perfect and everything. And he's just like wow, and falls in love with her.
Yeah. Obviously, part of that one is about like love at first sight, how it's not really that important.
No, exactly. And it's about Stephen and Connie trying to figure out how to let him down gently,
But that kind of just makes it worse.
It makes it worse because again, the two kids,
they shouldn't have meddled.
They should not have meddled. Whereas when finally Garnet just is honest with him, that's much better.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Garnet's at the start, Garnet's blunt attitude doesn't do Jamie many favors, I imagine.
She when she doesn't get it at first, she's just classic Garnet. Yeah, she's very blunt.
Yeah, she just says no.
She just says no. But like by the end, what is it exactly she says?
Well, she says about how love at first sight's not real. That it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's Ruby and Sapphire, and they've been together for 6,000 years.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I couldn't remember, but yeah, the point was like once she actually realizes that what's going on with him, and that it's a topic about it's about love, then obviously that's something that she can speak about.
Yeah, she actually she does it via a compliment, which is quite good.
Exactly. That's yeah. That's why it's quite clever. And yeah, obviously Jamie's a bit upset, but
yeah, Jamie is still very upset because I mean he'd been rejected, and that's just an upsetting thing. That's not really something you can go down easy.
exactly.
But Garnet helped. But I think from then on, Barbara is Stephen's mailman, though. I think.
I believe so. Yeah. We still see Jamie as an actor.
Yes.
He's no longer a mailman.
I think that's the case.
Because of Garnet.
Because of Garnet.
So, there you go. It worked out.
Sadly, I can't think of that much to say about love letters.
Yeah. I mean, like it's a good episode to showcase that, yeah, like, can love at first sight happen? Yes. But 99% of cases that people think is love at first sight probably isn't.
It's not really love, is it? It's love is something that two people have together.
Yeah, I would say that it's entirely feasible that you see someone, are immediately attracted to them, and then get to know them and continue to be attracted to them, and do end up in a long term, even like marriage with them or whatever. Ergo, love at first sight. But and that just happens to be the first person that you ended up in a relationship with. But that's not love at first sight. It's just
Infatuation.
Infatuation that turned out, you struck out first time. Good job. Which I guess kind of in a way is love at first sight, but it's not. If that makes Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nice, because I'm never sure. It's yeah, it's one of those things where you can be attracted to someone and then actually speak to them and get to know them and stuff and be like, okay, well, you're a decent person, but I we be friends, but there's nothing actually there, or there might be something there, but in the long term it doesn't work out, or they might be a horrendous person and you're like, what on earth was I thinking? But every once in a while for someone, I'm sure you do happen to meet someone or speak to someone, and then you speak with someone and you go on a date, and everything just continues to go right up to a point. Obviously, no relation's perfect, but and then you could kind of argue that in a sense that's love at first sight, but it's more infatuation that proved to be well placed and have worked out in the long term. But maybe that's where it came from. Just saying love at first sight is much, much easier. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, having Ruby and Sapphire / Garnet being able to talk to Jamie about complimenting him, and also the fact that, well, she already is a relationship. She can't. You can't only be in another one if you are in yourself a relationship.
Exactly. I like how Garnet sees how he's being dramatic. Jamie's being dramatic because he's like an actor.
Yeah.
And comments on how he convinced himself of his feelings.
Yeah. Because he's
due to his acting.
Yeah. When she understands what's going on and what she needs to do, she executes it pretty flawlessly.
Yeah, exactly. So even though she sometimes has a hard time relating to humans,
yeah,
when it comes to love, that is something she knows a lot about.
When it comes to love, it's something that she understands well. Pearl and Amethyst understand love, but not well.
I mean, Garner doesn't understand it perfectly.
No one
given
understands it.
Some things we see later.
Yeah, for sure.
But at least that's how it is now.
She's not Pearl.
Oh boy, that's a big topic.
That is that we will come to next time.
Next time?
Not immediately. We've got Amethyst first with Reformed, but Sworn to the Sword starts to.
Oh boy.
Starts to delve
boy.
into to Pearl's feelings. So that's kind of self-worth in its relation to love, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it kind of still tracks because of what Pearl is. But again, that's for next time, unless we spend our episode on Reformed, which I don't think we will. There's quite a bit to say about Reformed, though. But
I think there is, yeah.
I think we'll probably get through that and Sword to Sword. But yeah, until then, unless you've got any final points to make on love letters.
I think we made them all.
I think we did. I think we went a bit deeper into the whole love theme than we needed to, but it was still interesting. Yeah, well, we'll end this episode here then. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cabincast. For more episodes, go to www.cabincast.podbean.com or use the Podbean app. You can now also find us on iTunes and Pocket Casts under Cabincast and on YouTube. The uploads here are quite behind. Finally, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Cabincast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.